All right, we still rolling? Let's get Sorry. We're rolling. Hey everyone, welcome to the December Dev Video Update. Super excited to be here with Dave and Katie. We have a lot to share today. We're going to talk about the Winter Convergence Festival Part 2, which is our second edition of that. We're going to talk about some of the changes coming for territory control. We have a new expedition, and then some other little announcements to give you. And if we have time, we'll get to it, the roadmap. It should be a pretty exciting show, so let's get after it.
Well, welcome back, everybody.
Big Mike!
Mike Willett here.
What up, baby?
With Sean Puckett and Chad Redwood.
I don't know who Sean is. I don't know who these guys are. What's up, Big Mike?
This December.
Is that a flamingo? What is that on his shirt, bro?
With Winter Convergence. So it's going to be year 2 of Winter Convergence.
Year
and
2.
We have one significant addition that's coming this year, but just to recap, it's our winter festival that takes place in Eternum during this time when the northern lights come out and giant gleamites just start falling from the sky and you collect presents, all for the Winter Wanderer.
I remember.
To prevent the forever winter from occurring on Eternum. But this year, we're bringing the Winter Warrior. He's the big baddie.
Ooh, Lich King, dude. Confirmed, chat. There it is, boys. WoW and New World collaborating. Easy game, dude. You all thought Dragons was it, bro? Nah, dude. Lich King's back, boys. Ooh, let's go!
So the
this guy's name is
Warrior
Chad.
Is another
Chad.
large formats
Who's this guy?
enemy for all you players out there. So similar to the Halloween event, definitely plan on bringing lots of your friends, shooting for somewhere in the order of 15 to 20. So it takes a good amount of people, just like Halloween. And he's a big giant fight. So he's out there. He's got lots of little kind of minion friends out to help him out in the fight. So he himself has lots of fun, kind of challenging abilities. He'll be raining down these big giant hailstones, creating shockwaves to make them explode, and generally making everyone's lives a little bit of trouble.
He's trying to bring forever winter, so he's got to bring the ice, right?
Absolutely.
Bring the ice.
So yeah,
bring
it's a
the
nice
action.
big event there, pretty meaty. And like I said, bring lots of friends and should provide a lot of fun there.
I'm very excited because it's also bringing some new rewards and a whole bunch of quests. But again, what's awesome about this time of year is what happens to all the surroundings, including the settlements. Sean, what was kind of like our inspiration and like how we drove to the visual look of our settlements?
Well, the thing about Winter Convergence this year is because this is our second time go around. So when we discussed it last year, we really wanted to bring something bright and festive to New World, to Eternum. We wanted something colorful. We started with the Aurora Borealis. We wanted to have our own
That's pretty
color
cool.
theme to what
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I don't think I looked up at the sky once. In fact, I don't think I've ever looked up at the sky ever in New World. So, whoops. But the tree in the middle is cool.
look like, or what holiday look like in Eternum. So we have our purples and our teals and our gold colors. Every settlement gets decorated with all of these decorations. And then what's great about this year is like Brimstone Sands, this is Brimstone Sands' first event. So Brimstone's is fully decorated now.
It's gonna feel like all the holiday in July. Like everything's like hot on the outside and then it's really cold on the inside. It got all
Icy
these cool
deserts.
colors. Yeah.
Nice contrast.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I've already seen what Brimstone looks like in the settlement.
That's pretty cool.
I know that we introduced some new skins. And
Wait, is there snow in the Brimstone town, but everywhere else is desert? Yeah. Okay.
Like really,
I like it.
Scaled up what
It's like a
Winter
snow globe.
Convergence was last year, and made it better for this year, and make it new for returning players, make it fresh and big for players who maybe haven't experienced it yet.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. And that's a great add to this December. But there's one other special treat that we have in store for everybody. And hopefully you had a chance to play it in the PTR. It's the Starstone Amrine mashup. And so we know that
I forgot they're doing that.
Requests to have a lot of our early game expeditions available for late and end game players. And so we spent a lot of time looking at like, okay, well, how do we get it to that parity? And Starstone and Amrine are connected in the lore. And as a matter of fact, you see in certain areas, like the connections and the paths in the background that actually link the two locations together. And so what we did is within Starstone, you have to go through that entrance. is you have access to this mutation, which now expands it, and now it includes the fight with Foreman Nakashima and Simon Gray. So that's added to this experience, and there's some new routes that you have to go through the Starstone expedition itself. And so now it's this all-encompassing kind of endgame activity, still intact with the cool lasers and unique puzzles, and also with the fight.
I forgot about that.
But now it's been leveled up for endgame play.
Yeah, I'm super happy we were able to revisit that. 'Cause a lot of people didn't get that much time to enjoy it, especially with kind of our new leveling curve. It's really quite quick, which is great, but you don't get to spend as much time in those expeditions. So it's really great to be able to revisit them.
So hopefully everyone gets a chance to play it in the PTR. Love your feedback, and then as well, as soon as it goes live, it's going to be right into the rotation. So we're super excited about that. So thanks, guys, and everybody. We'll see you in a tournament.
Really, overall, I mean, Winter Convergence, we've already been through it before. They're adding some stuff to that. Seems like it's going to be pretty straightforward. I'm interested to see how they're doing this combo dungeon. Obviously, more PvE content, more content in general. I'm all for green light. I think it's actually really smart of them to kind of reuse that, recycle that, if you will, because it, less time spent needed to add more PvE content. As you guys know, it can take quite a bit. And it usually, with the amount of time it takes to design those things, it takes away from other things that, a lot of us want them to address as well. So I think them recycling that and using that as more content for endgame would be really cool. All right, so what do we got coming up next here? Big territory. Looks like, oh, this is a long one, dude. All right, let's get it.
Welcome. We're going to talk a little bit about territory mechanics.
Big Dave!
About 3 different changes we're making to it. With me is Dan, the social lead. Nice way. Rachel, one of the designers on the social team. First, about shell companies. They're definitely a problem in New World. We're starting to take some action. Talk to us.
Beautiful.
What we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's up, Rach?
I realized that before we haven't really talked about first what shell companies are. So maybe
what are
maybe what are shell companies, Dan?
Lots of turtles, right?
Lots of turtles. Exactly.
You know what's funny, bro, about shell companies? I remember the conversations that I had with some people regarding shell companies when we first started doing them, because Regime was doing we were doing our thing, and I remember us talking about shell companies because everyone else was doing it, and how like insanely OP it was to use shell companies to take territories. So you didn't have one company holding 3 or 4 or 5 territories. You could have multiple, which was pretty sick. I mean, once you got the logistics figured out of who's running which company that owns the territory, it was kind of whatever. But once you got it figured out, bro, it was actually so overpowered.
Yeah, so shell companies are when a company will make a little offshoot tiny company to go around in the world and try to own multiple territories they use the different companies to get around some of our rules, the war windows, and circumvent those things. And so we're making a few changes to help mitigate that issue. The first one that we're doing is a company leave cooldown. So for 72 hours after you leave a company, you won't be able to participate in any territory control activities with another company.
So things like the influence game,
right.
wars, things like that. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Still join another company, run around, have fun.
Because now we see.
So when you leave a company, you cannot participate in a war for 72 hours? I do think it's a great thing that they're implementing that overall. I obviously think shell companies, as you guys know, can be problematic. I mean, good for the company who owns the stuff, but obviously problematic otherwise, which I think overall it does need to change. Both was confirming. Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like both. You can't participate in wars, territory, influence, pushes, whatever, territory control in general. It just seems like there's a 3-day cooldown, all that stuff. That's interesting, but I think overall it's a good thing.
Like 5 companies, they'll just kind of just go around them all day long. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So we want to prevent that. It's not really how we intended that gameplay to be made. That's a weird phrasing. We'll keep going. And then we're going to...
It's only weird if you call attention to it.
And then we're also doing a war roster limitation. Do you want to talk about the war roster limits?
Love to.
Here we go.
Yeah, so with the change of the cooldown, that wouldn't really accomplish much if you didn't have... so basically what's going to happen is in order to fight a war, especially on defense, it becomes important so that you have to fight the war as the company. And the way we're going to do that is with a mercenary limit. So a mercenary being somebody like not from the company who's fighting in the war, which we like. We want to see that because we want people to be able to especially defend their faction. But when you're on defense, the number is 10. You get 10 mercenaries to use in a war. And then when you're on attack, this is something we adjusted in PTR. When we went out, we set that at 40 because we like the idea of companies being able to recruit
and like
let's go get a territory. And we want to try to keep that in, so it's still less than on defense, but now it's 25.
Okay.
So on defense, there's 40 company members, or up to 50, depending on what you want. And then on attack, it's 25.
And one more?
And one more.
Okay, so to confirm, by the sounds of it, so overall, I think it's a good change. Obviously, right? I think it's a great change that they're implementing it. It's really interesting how they're addressing mercenarying. It's really interesting they're doing less merking on defense, although it does make sense. So they're allowing up to 10 players not from your company to defend the territory, which, like I said, it kind of makes sense. If you're the territory, or if you're the company owning the territory, you can still have some help, but overall, most of it should be within the company. I mean, a lot of it's going to be naturally mitigated just on the fact of what they're doing with, the changes to territories and leaving the companies and shell companies. So I think it all kind of just take care of itself, if you will. Now, the idea of, still having for attack, they said that you have to have, how much did they say? 25?
Try to keep that in, so it's still less than on defense, but now it's 25.
Okay.
So on defense,
okay, so half of it,
40 company members, or up to 50,
depending
on what you want. And then on attack, it's 25.
Okay, so half the roster.
And one more. There will be a daily war limit.
Okay.
So everyone can participate in one attacking war and
Sweet.
one defensive war a day. That resets every day at 5 a.m. So, if you have any 6 a.m. Meetings for wars, you'll be good.
And I heard this is per account, right, Dan, to sort of help some of the people that might have multiple characters?
Correct. Yeah, and it's meant to, it's across the board. Everybody has this limit now. So, it's the intent is for there to be more available war slots for everybody.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And to be clear too, it's not a count, it's a count per world. So if you have characters across multiple worlds, you're good to go. You can have wars in all of them if you want to, but if you have 2 characters on one world, that limit applies to both of them combined.
Interesting.
True.
Awesome.
And if we can't wait to see what happens after December. This is not nice. This is not the end of what we do, right? Because we're pretty sure there are other things that we might need to address.
Yeah, and I think keeping in mind our high-level goal here is important, right? Our goal was to allow more people to participate in war and not to have a small group of people be able to control multiple territories. So
Right.
That's a goal we're going to keep pushing. Hopefully these make meaningful changes. If not, we'll make some more.
Keep going, yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about something else, craft.
Okay, but before we get into the next part, so I think overall, it's a great change, right? I think we can all agree that it's been a constant problem. You guys know I mentioned several times on stream that one of the biggest issues I think with wars in particular is, when you get to the top of, doing consistent wars all the time, obviously that's going to be alleviated now with this upcoming patch. But, you usually end up seeing a lot of the same people, right? A lot of the gamers that are more known and usually will get roster spots, whether you're part of a merc team or you're part of the company, whatever it is. With all these changes combined, this is a big stepping stone, right? I obviously, per what Dave said, this is not a final, we're drawing the line here, we're moving on to something else. It's this is kind of a stepping stone. Okay, we're going to implement these changes with the combination of, obviously joining the company, the 72-hour cooldown, the daily wars, 1 offense and 1 defense per day, or per world, or per account, per character, per world or something, right? So it's a great change overall. Getting a lot more players involved in wars, hopefully, is the key. As you guys know, it sounds like we're kind of done talking about territories, moving on to crafting here, so we'll see what they say. I do think that there is obviously workarounds around this. I don't know how many super sweat companies there are, but just given the fact that, I personally know a lot of super sweaty players and companies that have multiple accounts, that have multiple geared characters, so they can bypass this. It doesn't seem like it'd be too crazy, right? I think overall, maybe the overall amount of wars they do is going to be reduced just because, you have that daily limit. At the same time, there's obviously workarounds when it comes to, these wars, right? So I think a lot of these companies, you probably won't see too many companies running around with 5-6 territories anymore, right? It's going to be maybe 2 or 3. You maybe could have more depending on how big you are and how many accounts people have at their, disposal. That being said, I do think this is an overall good change. I think getting more people opportunities, hopefully. I feel like you won't really know how impactful it will be until it's actually implemented, until people can kind of start figuring out how it works and how to work around it if they want to do so. I really don't. I think the game's come down quite a bit compared to how it was at the start. There's a lot of companies and stuff that are no longer around that are trying to own like several different territories. But I think with the revenue splits and, you know, you're not as incentivized to own so many territories and trying to figure out invasions and stuff like that. I'm trying to think from a min-maxing perspective. If I was leading a company and we were dominating, like how would I work around this? I mean, very, very simply put, I think I would just really, you know, get my super sweaty players to just have everyone get a second account or acquire a second account of some sort on a separate company under the same name. In preparation, I mean, like I said, there's going to be some time before this comes out. That's what I would do. So if you guys are a sweaty company, maybe take this in take this into your consideration, but that's what I would do personally. But like I said, it's a stepping stone. So we'll see how it unfolds. And if it tends to actually be very beneficial and getting more players, you know, play time in wars, fantastic. And then they can just improve it from there. So good things all around, it seems. I got 3 accounts that I play on. I'm not a sweaty PvPer. I'm just a sweaty crafter, 3 times the cooldowns. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Miley's exactly. You're proving my point, right? So there's actually a lot of benefit to having 2 accounts when it comes to MMOs. Now, does it cost a little bit of money up front? Obviously, yes. Depending on how much you play and the benefit of having multiple accounts offers, more often than not, it's worth it. And especially a game like New World that doesn't have a subscription-based thing. And if you buy an account at $20, I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. You see what I mean? Now, a game like World of Warcraft, very different, right? They're a subscription-based game. And so when you have multiple accounts, you're forking out $15 a month per account to have these. You see what I'm saying? So for New World, the risk reward for having multiple accounts, especially, you know, if you're a sweaty player that plays a lot and loves doing wars, and that's the reason why you play the game, you know, not only you double the crafting cooldowns if that tickles your fancy, but then you have, you know, more wars that you can do. I mean, we'll see though. So let's watch this next part. Here we go.
So
crafting.
You've been on the Fresh Start Worlds, like a lot of times I'll see in chat, where's our tier 5, you know, alchemy station or something. So it can be sometimes frustrating when like the PvP parts of the world affect my ability to do crafting. Any thoughts on how we might be able to rectify this?
Yeah, so in December, we're making crafting tier changes. Again, they're on the PTR beforehand, so you'll be able to see them. But we are basically ungating a lot of recipes behind the tiers. So any procedural recipes, so recipes that, you know, you can have multiple choice inputs for your ingredients. So a lot of those recipes are now going to be completely unlocked. It doesn't matter what tier the station is at, you'll be able to do a tier 5 procedural recipe. A lot of named items are remaining locked.
That's a good change, I think.
We still want
overall.
tier 5 stations to be something to strive for and really aim for. But so a lot of the named items and other big ones are still locked, and things like the Arcana repository, it's a long word, it'll have things like, you know, the mana and the health potions are unlocked, but all of our specialty ones will remain locked underneath.
So I can make tier 5 health potions.
You can make tier 5 health potions anywhere you want.
Because one of the dangers here is that people might not upgrade now that everything's unlocked. But one of the nice changes is with the income changes we made in the past, the income that towns make is dependent on the total territory level, sorry, the town level. So they still have good reasons to upgrade there.
Absolutely, that's a good point.
There's other side benefits, like you said, the named. Are there any other benefits to upgrading a station?
Yeah, there's also going to be Azoth discounts. So if you like using your Azoth to get a chance at extra perks and everything, as the stations upgrade, you'll have a discount on your Azoth.
Awesome.
Fair enough.
Sometimes when we make changes, there are unintended consequences.
When we make changes.
This might have been mine.
Dave does his best to cover for us. We appreciate that.
So I did not like the experience that people are having a lot at the start, where you were able to power level through the game by doing town projects. You get a lot of money, not that anyone would RMT in the game.
Does anyone know what RMT stands for, dude?
You were able to use that coin to quickly level up. And it just sort of circumvented all the gameplay we put, and it didn't feel like a good loophole. So we slashed the XP from town projects.
Okay.
Did that have any consequences that we weren't anticipating?
I don't think so.
Did have some consequences.
Oh, it did?
Let me just say, that changed. So I'm level 52 on a Fresh Start server.
Nobody did them.
Not done a single town project.
Yeah.
And it's going fast, it's great. But yeah, there was a side
No,
effect.
I think we're happy with the impact of that, but there might have been a side effect.
There was a side effect. We did see a lot of territories not upgrading because people weren't naturally motivated to go do those town projects anymore. So we are drastically reducing the amount of contribution required to actually complete those town projects.
Nice, nice.
So it'll be like, I think we're cutting it by like about 70–80%.
Wow.
Like it's a
Oh my
pretty
God, that's a lot.
solid chunk of
That's
contribution that
huge.
will no longer be required come the December update. So hopefully that will help people really complete their territory projects. And obviously we'll continue to look at them and see what else we can do with our
so
town
those company
projects.
members that, like, it's now within striking distance for a company to be able to upgrade all their own stations so that they can
Yes.
get that money.
There is still a time limit, though, right, before a project completes. So you can't
There
sort of do them all in one day.
Right.
Mm.
No. Yeah. So yeah, once that time limit will still be there. But yeah, like you said, a company could do it as a fun company activity.
Won't be easy.
Won't be easy.
Well, I love the changes in the territory game. This is, a big part of our game. So we're going to keep working on it, keep improving it. Thanks.
All right, dude. I mean, overall, we'll see what happens. That's really all I can really say about it, right? I mean, I think it's just good changes, getting people in wars. I do think that New World initially had like this idea, it seemed like, where you had to invest a lot of whatever time, money, or gold, in whatever players to achieve the highest, the end tier stuff. It seems like now they're reducing a lot of these things because the game changes, right? As time goes on, the meta, if you will, shifts, and the way people play the game shifts. I guess improving the quality of life and give us more time to do things that we actually want to do in the game. I think the crafting stuff is actually a really good change because, like Dave was saying, because I was like, man, just by letting you make whatever you want, no matter what level the crafting station is, it's kind of, what's the point of doing it? But there will still be incentive for these towns to upgrade it because a lot of the money and the income they make from their town and from their territory is, the crafting taxes and stuff. So it's still worth to keep it at a max level for the people who are looking to craft things that require tier 5. I think one attack, one defense a day might be a bad move. Gatekeeping any kind of content's a bad move. That's interesting you actually brought that up, Dragos, honestly, because it's one of those things we really won't know the actual impact it will have until it's implemented on multiple populated servers. If you think about it, bro, most wars are already gate kept. It's just not gate kept by the time, right? It's gate kept by the players. How do I say this? It's gatekeeping, but not in a way where I think it's going to be super detrimental outside of the players that already get to do dozens of wars a day or a week, right? Which I don't think gatekeeping in general is ever a good thing, but the goal of it, I like to think at least, is giving the rest of the 90%, 80% of players, probably not that high, I'm just throwing out a percentage, but the rest of the majority of the player base who aren't able to do wars that would do them, it gives them an opportunity to play. I agree, I understand the problem and the goal is restricting people that live to war. Absolutely, bro. Like, I agree with you. I don't want any content to be gatekept for anyone. But at the same time, this particular problem, one could argue that it's already gatekept. It's just not gatekept by AGS. It's gatekept by politics of the players doing wars. See what I'm saying? So it's already being gatekept. It's just now AGS is taking it more into their control versus letting the players dictate that. So it's already being gatekept is what I'm saying. Now them taking that control back gives them more of the control to allow, hopefully, right? The goal is to allow more players to get that. I think murking the limits and company wars mostly fix that though. Requiring 35 people in a company or 25 people in the company. I think basically it'll make it so people are abiding by how the game was designed. I don't think it was ever intended for one company to be an umbrella for multiple companies to control multiple territories so they can bypass the restrictions. I think more people will get into wars because of it, absolutely. And I think that's it, at the end of the day, what I like. Roadmap. The roadmap.
All right, well, here it is. We're talking about the roadmap. I almost feel like we need a drum roll. But I do want to talk a little bit before we get to the roadmap. A roadmap is just that. It's not a hard commitment on everything. Like, things change in development. We could run into problems. Things might come in a little later. I've even once or twice heard of things coming in early in game development, but it's very random and rare. And your feedback may change some of our thinking as we get going. But right now, this is what it looks like for us. So let's start with spring. First deliverable
Wow,
we talked
spring.
about spring is the Empyrean Forge
I guess it would be next.
Expedition.
Nice. So the Empyrean Forge Expedition is a first part of a two-part story, right? So this is a storytelling piece. We're going to start with the Varangians, and there's a lot of fire elements. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's exciting. Every time we do a new expedition, it kind of changes.
New expedition is spring. Poggers in the chat. Here we go, baby. More PvE content, boys. Poggers, 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 poggers.
Like some of the end game, and it gets really fun.
Well, and I think this will be the first time you fight humanoids as sort of like the main enemy type, right? So that might come with some new itemization. So neat stuff there.
Yeah, it's all about the rewards. All right, well, the next one.
True.
I think a few people have mentioned this next one, that they've wanted it. So another spring item is gear set storage. Woo!
Gear set storage. Claps in the chat, baby.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I'm really excited about this. So
I'm excited too, Dave.
And I also run mutations, right? So I have all my different crafting sets, and I have different sets for each mutation every time. So now I'll be able to quickly swap in and out of these things. It's super exciting.
See, I play the trading post game and I run mutations. So I need all of the luck gear that I can possibly get on so that I get as much as I can, but I also need to switch into tank or DPS depending on what they need. So this is gonna be super exciting. I'm very stoked on this one.
Yeah, us being a game without classes, it's gonna be a game changer, being able to just quickly.
That's a good point.
Those
Yeah.
classes and play the game different, or like you said, into crafting or other stuff.
Yeah.
Players have asked for it, and they're totally right. The game is going to be much better for it.
Nice.
Super excited.
Yep.
Well, since it's spring, we have another event we're going to introduce, the Springtide Bloom, which
Another event.
visually, aesthetically, it's the set pieces are amazing. You want to talk a little bit about the event?
Well, so when you go into town, like you said, we're going to do a full makeover of the towns again, which is going to be great. And then there's an activity where you go out, you capture bugs, I think it is.
This is fun to watch and struggle.
There's a spray where you capture bugs, I think. You turn them in for tokens.
Yeah.
There's the whole store mechanic as usual, so you'll be able to choose which rewards you buy. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we do like the world-changing events, those are a lot of fun. So we're going to keep doing those as we move forward because we know the players like it, and we like the visual interest that they bring in.
Yeah, and like, not to go backward, but like we talked about in the Winter Convergence, every time these events come back around on the calendar, we're going to make them a little better. We're going to lean into them a little more. We're going to apply more of the feedback. So the first one is pretty exciting.
I remember what it is. You harvest springtide flowers, and there's bugs around, so you need a repellent to prevent it from the bugs.
For the players to know, we're much better at this when we've played these, and these are right now not quite playable yet. So once they become playable, we'll be a lot better at commenting on them. And then the last thing is something that we talked about a little bit, which is we're going to do another round at our improving the main story line quests. And you know, the response to what we saw with Windsward and Monarch Bluff was really positive. So we're going to just take that a little further. And if you want to go into some details.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. The plan is to do it in the next two zones. So we'll do it in Weavers and Brightwood. And some of the big things we liked is we liked bringing the quests closer together, so there was less running, adding more quest variety. And there's also some cool encounter changes in there to bring in a little more of like those open world boss fights. So
I think some of the storytelling also is going to be a little more crystallized for the players. It's going to be more clear.
For sure, and full VO is big, right? So every quest will be fully VO'd.
Yep. All right, well, that takes us into summer. So my hat throwing moment would be this first feature I'm going to talk about in summer.
Do you need a hat? Dave has a couple. There we go.
My hat throwing moment is going to be transmog. This is something I've been wanting for a while.
Transmog, dude! Oh my god! Oh my god!
The game, I know some players have mentioned it. The ability to have agency, express yourself, however you want to call it. I'm so excited to get this in, and you know, I'm likely to want to keep some of the stuff I got on the beach. I still would love to wear, so I'm really excited about getting in and decorating like that.
Yeah, I don't know about the stuff on the beach, but there's a lot of things around the world, like, you know, Thorpe's Helm. I would like to keep that, but once you hit, like, it's good for a pretty long time, but once you hit level 50, it's and 60 for sure, it's not super great, but I like the way it looks, and I would love to still have that on my character's face right now. So I am holding on to it.
I think the collection mechanic's really cool, like being able to see all the potentials and like, I'm gonna wanna check them all off, the sort of completionist.
Totally.
That's exciting.
Can't wait to min-max my way through Transmog.
Drew will have a spreadsheet. No.
All right, well, the next one we're gonna talk about is raid groups.
Raid groups is big.
Oh, shit, dude. Okay, Transmog, W. I wish it didn't have to wait until next summer, but because that's, I mean, I don't even know what's gonna happen by next summer, but I do think it's good for the game.
Literally, because it's a big group. Sorry.
All right, raids, chat. Here we go.
It's an opportunity to bring 4 different groups of players together to create 20-person groups. So it's going to be a way to sort of do larger scale content.
Which is a great segue to our really cool thing that's happening.
I was going to say, because why do we need raid groups? That giant thing you see in Brimstone, well, you're finally going to get a chance to take it down.
The Sandworm Elite Trial. So I'm very excited about this. What is the coolest part about this is it is going to be our hardest to date PvE content. Like as we're designing it, I'm telling people if we can beat it internally, it's too easy. Like this, we want this to be like the ultimate. So it gives you something to aspire to as a PvE person. Because I think,
bro, hard PvE content. I like that, dude.
PvP players have wars and they have things where they can really flex their high-end gear.
Yeah.
PvE players don't have enough of that, and this is going to be like. You need a fully coordinated group of 20 people. You need max everything to really defeat this.
Like it's going to be so fun, and you know we have some of the ideas we've been tossing around are really exciting, and
it's going to be good to put that into the rotation.
I'm pumped, man. I think raids will be pretty sick.
Runs, having the Sandworm Elite Trial, it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, and just from the moment you see it, you know you want to fight it. Like right now, I see it in Brimstone, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait till summer. It's going to be awesome.
Summertime,
the next one's another one that a lot of players have asked for, which is. OPR cross world. So
oh my God, dude. Okay. Oh my God. Hold on. Okay, I'm ready.
Be able to play against other people in your region in OPR. Goal being get you that content faster. So if your server has queues waiting for OPR, they should be a lot faster.
Or if your server
is it supposed to be in the summer?
It's just not popping because it's off hours. Now you're more likely to get, or now in summer, you'll be more likely to get more people into those queues so that they can pop more regularly.
Yeah, and this is also, you know, this is a gate to other things being cross-world. Once we have
I think you guys already know what I'm going to say. Summer's way too long. When MMOs do this in player base, right? New World has a unique opportunity to be able to help these servers, as you guys have seen on the forums lately, right? A lot of servers are not doing that well in population and are declining, hence why server merges are happening, and it will continue to decline. That's just how it goes until new content comes out. It'll hype up, go back down. One of the best things you could do, if it's not in the game already, is cross-server content, because you are not at the mercy of your server having a lack of population. Now for all the servers who have good population, it doesn't really matter too much. But even for those servers, okay, it's still beneficial because you're getting into queues faster, you're getting into OPRs faster, you're getting into arenas faster, you're getting into dungeon finding groups faster. Yo guys, quick interruption before this segment of the video. For those of you that watch the stream and know me, you guys know I'm much more of a traditional MMO player. I'm not the one to really advocate for cross-server anything. But as you guys know, it's almost 2023. The way people play MMOs, the way that people approach MMOs is very different than how it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. I love being on a server and representing that server on behalf of you and your friends or your community. All that being said, given New World's unique position and situation right now and the options at hand, I still believe that this is the best option for them to keep their health of the game at a good standing along with their player base until they're able to come out with more content, etc. So just want to give you guys a quick little disclaimer, and thank you guys for watching the video. Enjoy. Anything in my opinion that is in New World that is instanced maybe minus wars, because that really wouldn't make sense. Outside of wars, dungeons, mutators, possibly raids, arenas, OPR, in my opinion, should all be, excuse me, cross server. And the reason why is like I said, you won't be at the mercy of your server or the population or the lack thereof, and the game would not feel as dead because we're still able to do a lot of the content without having to worry about the server population. In my opinion, I think the most important thing, if I could implement anything in a new world right this second, this would be the first one. This would be the first thing. I don't care about the winter convert. This is my opinion, respectfully. Put cross server in. Leaderboard. I want leaderboards. Cross server first. Allow your players to play your game to its fullest extent. It mitigates a lot of problems. People constantly complaining about merges and transfers, right? Like, people will still do it, but it won't be nearly as bad because still people will still be able to play the game, right? A lot of servers can't even do OPRs. A lot of even servers can't even get, you know, even arenas to pop. But if I could put in two things right this second, is merges and transfers for the servers so people can play whatever respective server they want, and implementing cross server stuff. So as servers continue to kind of decline in population, and instead of people worrying about their server dying, whatever, like, yes, people will still be worrying about it, but it won't be as detrimental because a lot of the content you can still do without needing to have your server be at a high pop. If we're just speaking on the health of the game, I think wars and the territory stuff needs to be changed. I'm glad they're doing a lot of the crafting changes. I think a lot of the stuff they're talking about is very good for the game, adding raids, etc. Out of all the things that they've talked about, if there's one thing that I think they need to put in the game right this second before it's too late, it is cross-server stuff.
Working and it's feeling good. We start expanding that over time and bring other game modes into it. And I think it's going to help the game tremendously.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Our server team is watching every word that comes out of our mouth right now.
Yeah. No commitments on timelines.
Please
the
commit
last
to a
one we're going
timeline.
to talk about for the summer is the Summer Medley Fair. The next round of that. I think the last one was pretty fun. I had a good time with it. You know, the music festival.
I miss
fishing.
the maudlin bugs. I gotta say it. I miss them. As I run through, I'm like, where did that swarm go? I'm excited for them to come back.
Yeah, just having the dynamicism in the world, just making it feel different. It's
There's something sparkling
fun.
in the trees. Is it gonna kill me, or can I play a tune and get a reward?
And then, you know, there's other things like I want to be clear with everyone. Like, this is not the comprehensive list of what we're working on or doing. Yeah. These are the ones we're talking about. There are some other ones also that are going to trickle in throughout the releases, like the heart gems. Those are super fun. Yeah.
When we get more of those.
Getting more of those. I'm trying to look at my cheat sheet.
What do we got here? Okay, spring. Imperium Forge Expedition, Gear Set Storage System.
If you see me.
Quality of life.
Quality of life change and more cinematics. We want to get more of those cinematics in the game. I think they're fun, and they really help us tell the lore story.